Imagine holding a single letter in your hand. Just one letter. It looks harmless. Small. Easy to ignore. Now imagine that letter is part of a sentence that writes your body. Every cell. Every breath. Every strength and weakness. DNA is not a story we read. It is a story we live inside. For a long time humans could only observe this story. Then we learned to edit small parts. And now something new has arrived. We can ask a machine to write it. Not a sentence. Not a paragraph. Entire chapters. This is the moment we are standing in. It feels quiet. Technical. Almost abstract. But it carries weight. Because when we move from reading life to generating life, the questions change. Not only what can we do, but what does it mean that we can do it? The context is important. Science has always used tools to test reality. Models. Simulations. Hypotheses. When machines began writing text, we asked if it sounded human. When machines began making images, we asked if they looked real. Now machines are writing DNA. And the test is not how it looks on a screen. The test is whether it works in the real world. Whether it folds. Whether it cuts. Whether it behaves like life behaves. When something generated by a machine begins to function inside a living system, we cross a line that feels different even if we cannot fully explain why yet. The first insight is the surface idea. This technology promises incredible benefit. Personalized medicine. Treatments that fit one person instead of averages. Understanding disease at its root instead of guessing from symptoms. Imagine a future where a doctor does not say this drug works for most people. Instead they say this drug works for you. Your body. Your genome. Your risks. Your reactions. That vision is powerful. It speaks to care. To precision. To dignity. It feels like progress because it reduces harm. It reduces trial and error. It replaces guesswork with understanding. And when people hear this, they often stop there. They see only the promise. They think about relief. About cures. About lives saved. That is natural. But surface promises are never the whole story. The second insight sits beneath that excitement. We assume that because something is generated carefully, it is understood. But generation and understanding are not the same thing. A machine can produce sequences that look right and behave right without knowing why they work. It learns patterns. It predicts outcomes. It does not hold meaning. Humans then test these outputs and confirm function. But confirmation is not the same as comprehension. This matters because biology is not simple. Life is full of interactions. Side effects. Long chains of cause and effect that unfold over time. When we generate DNA at scale, we are not only creating solutions. We are creating possibilities we may not yet know how to control. This does not mean we should stop. It means we should slow our assumptions. We should not confuse realism with safety. We should not confuse success in a lab with wisdom in the world. The third insight is the structural pattern that repeats in human history. Every time we gain the ability to create at a deeper level, our imagination runs ahead of our ethics. We learn to split atoms before we learn how to live with that power. We learn to build networks before we learn how they shape minds. We learn to edit genes before we fully understand ecosystems. The pattern is not that technology is bad. The pattern is that technology moves faster than our shared agreements about how to use it. When we move from editing DNA to generating it, we are not just changing medicine. We are changing the boundary of what counts as natural. We begin to ask questions that once belonged to myth. Can we recreate what was lost? Can we invent what never existed? And when those questions move from fiction to funding, they deserve careful attention. This leads to a reframing. The real issue is not whether we can generate DNA. It is how we choose to relate to that power. We can treat it as a tool that serves life, or as a product that competes with life. We can focus on healing, or drift toward novelty. We can design with humility, or with confidence that outpaces caution. When people imagine new species, the mind jumps to spectacle, to control, to rewriting nature as if it were software. But life is not software. It is context. It is history. It is relationship. A sequence does not exist alone. It exists inside environments, inside systems we barely understand. Creating something new is not just about whether it functions. It is about how it fits. Who is responsible when it does not? Who decides what should exist? These are not scientific questions alone. They are social questions, ethical questions, human questions. Applying this to daily life may seem distant. Most people will never generate DNA. But the mindset matters. We are entering a world where machines do not just assist thought. They assist creation at the deepest level. This means we all need a stronger sense of pause. A habit of asking, what is this for? Who benefits? Who decides? What happens if this spreads? Just as important, what values are being trained into the systems that do this work? Because the machine will reflect the goals we give it. If speed is the goal, it will move fast. If novelty is the goal, it will surprise us. If care is the goal, it will still need humans to define what care means. In medicine, this could mean focusing on reducing suffering before expanding capability. It could mean prioritizing transparency over hype. It could mean ensuring that access does not deepen inequality. Personalized medicine sounds beautiful. But who gets it first? Who pays? Who is left with old solutions? Technology does not remove these questions. It sharpens them. Optional deepening helps us sit with the emotional layer. There is something unsettling about seeing life written one letter at a time by a machine. Not because it is evil, but because it challenges our sense of uniqueness. We have long believed that life carries mystery, that there is something irreducible. When machines begin to model that mystery, we feel both awe and discomfort. That discomfort is not weakness. It is information. It tells us we are touching something foundational. We should listen to it. Not to panic, but to guide restraint. The goal is not to stop asking what is possible. The goal is to pair possibility with responsibility. To remember that just because we can imagine a future does not mean we must rush into it. Progress does not only mean going forward. Sometimes it means going carefully. Standing still long enough to think. So as this technology continues to grow and the boundary between code and life becomes thinner, the question we might hold is not how far can we go, but how do we decide together what kind of future is worth generating.